So yesterday I was at a trial lawyers conference and I heard a very interesting statistic. Apparently 40% of claims for car accidents are settled without a lawyer. 40% of people never hire a lawyer. So one of the biggest competitors for trial lawyers is really just nothing. It's people trying to do it themselves. And I wanted to talk about why that might not be such a good idea and what is the value proposition. Why hire an injury lawyer if you've been in a car accident? If you're curious about that question, this might be useful for you. So the first thing to understand is, if you're not a lawyer, then you probably don't know what your rights are. I'll give you an example. In the state of Tennessee, the fact that somebody wasn't wearing a seatbelt, right, can't come into evidence unless you're in a products liability case. So if the adjuster tries to say, well, according to the accident report, you weren't wearing your seatbelt, so we're going to discount your claim by 50%. If you don't know better, that might work on you. And I had a case where they tried it on me, and it was an out-of-state adjuster, and I said, hey, look, the law of Tennessee is X, here's the case law, here's the statute, and they doubled their offer because I knew what the law was. But if you don't know that, then they can use it against you. So it's sort of like you don't know what you don't know, and that can harm you. Another example is medical bills. The adjuster might say, well, what are your medical bills? And you'll look at your itemization from your insurance company and you say, well, I owe $700 or I owe $2,500. That's not the medical bill. The medical bill is what the provider charged for the service. The fact that that got discounted by your own health insurance, if you had that, or discounted for an uninsured patient discount, the big number of the high charges is what you can present to the insurance company. And a lot of people don't know that, don't know how to find that. And, so that's another example of something that you don't know could hurt you. Another thing is something called a lien. And I should probably do a whole video on subrogation and liens, and it would be maybe very boring watching, but really, really crucially important. So, if you've got health insurance and they pay for your care because you're in an accident, and then you get money from the at-fault driver, well, your health insurance can come after you for what they paid. And you might have a situation where you take this small settlement because you want to do it yourself and not pay a lawyer's fee. But then down the line, your health insurance says, hey, didn't you settle this case? Weren't you injured in a car accident? You owe us. And then you're looking at it like, well, my settlement is evaporated because it was too low and now I have to pay back my health insurance company. So a good lawyer will work that all out on the front end with your health insurance company, get them to reduce their lien, possibly waive their lien entirely. But if all of that sounds Greek, that's kind of the point. This is where lawyers are actually helpful and why injury lawyers can provide a service if you've been in a car accident. Another way that lawyers can help you in car accident situations is if you need care that you don't have the resources to obtain or can't find the right provider or don't have health insurance. There are vendors and various services that lawyers know how to use or refer you to so that you can go get the care you need. I'll give you an example. I have a T-bone accident, car accident case where our client sustained a traumatic brain injury, but he doesn't have health insurance. So who's going to pay for all of the neurologists, neuropsychology, concussion evaluations between now and the time when his settlement comes in? That's where if you try to do it on your own, you would really be leaving money on the table. You probably wouldn't even be able to recover for that, because if you can't get the care, then the insurance company is not going to credit the injury. That brings up another point. Dealing with insurance companies. This is a whole art and science that it's lawyers are constantly training themselves how to get better at. Doing because it's their job, right? Dealing with insurance company. It's not the kind of thing that you're going to be able to walk in. Maybe you bought a house, maybe you've bought a used car, maybe you think you're good at negotiating, maybe you're married, you know how to talk to your spouse. None of that's really going to prepare you, and I'll give you an example on that. A lot of these insurance companies are using computerized software to try to normalize the claims that they're paying out, to try to not pay too high or too low because There's a lot of noise in how individual adjusters might evaluate something. So to try to keep their bottom line, uniform and predictable, insurance companies use a computer program, notoriously one called Colossus. So if you don't know what that is, right there, you're already sort of behind the curve. But how to get the most out of these software programs is a whole key feature of our job. Unfortunately, as injury lawyers, you wouldn't think that, but knowing how to kind of game their system is something that good lawyers are good at, and they will absolutely add value to your case because they know how to do that. Learning what the computer program is looking for in terms of inputs to then get the most output, which means money in your pocket. Another way that hiring a lawyer helps you, even though you have to pay an attorney's fee, is that once you have a lawyer, they really can't talk to you, and they know that you now have someone in your corner who, if they lowball you, will file a lawsuit and they'll have to defend it. And so that it just kind of naturally raises the stakes for the insurance company, that they know you're serious and know that you've got representation. So they can't get away with some of their easy tricks that an inexperienced person, who's just trying this out, trying to save themselves a 1/3 attorney fee, might get away with. Another way you might be leaving money on the table is by not considering all the sources of recovery. I'll give you an example. We had a motorcycle accident where a truck driver caused an accident, and of course we were able to recover from that policy, but we also had the theory that the whole accident was caused by a construction company that had set up a construction zone on the highway in a completely dangerous manner, and it was their fault. And that added another $1 million to that case. So, thinking outside the box a little bit is something attorneys can do. Also, just something as simple as your own uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage is another important avenue. And if you don't know what that is, again, but knowing how to get the most out of your UM, if that is in play, is a whole game that attorneys know how to play that you probably don't if you've never done it before. So, I'm not saying that everybody should always hire a lawyer, but I think that 40% of people settling the claim, that's the statistic I saw yesterday at this conference, it's too high. That tells me that the insurance companies are getting off a little bit too easy. So I wanted to make this video to let you know about that. So if you've been in an accident or know someone who has, they should do some research about what their options are. If you want to know more specifically about steps to take if you've been in an accident, watch this next video.